Hello and welcome to Candid Cafe with Raj. Today we are going to embark on an epic journey not through space but through time. We are walking the golden road, the one William Dalrymple masterfully describes in his book The Golden Road, how India transformed the world. Now, if you think Indian influence on the world started with Bollywood or yoga studios in New York, this episode will open your eyes. India for centuries has been a cultural, spiritual, scientific and economic powerhouse. And Dalrymple shows us just how deep those roots go. Let's begin. For too long, the dominant narratives portrayed India as a passive recipient of ideas from the Mughals, the British, the West. But Dalrymple flips this. Ancient India wasn't just absorbing, it was exporting. Between 500 BCE and 1300 CE, India wasn't just a country, it was a civilizational force. Indian ideas traveled often faster and further than her goods. We are talking about Buddhism, Sanskrit, astronomy, mathematics, architecture, cuisine, and even governance systems. Take, for instance, the Buddhist missionary efforts of Emperor Ashoka. After the Kalinga War, Ashoka embraced Buddhism and actively sent out monks to Sri Lanka, Southeast Asia, and even Hellenistic Egypt. These were in fringe activities. This was state-sponsored soft power. One of Dalrymple's most compelling narrative is how India shaped the spiritual identity of Asia. Buddhism, born in the Gangetic Plains, became the spiritual backbone of countries like Thailand, Japan, and China. The story of Chinese monk Huangzang is legendary. In the 7th century, he left China against the emperor's wishes and traveled to India to study at the Nalanda University, the Oxford of the East. He spent 17 years in India collecting manuscripts and studying Sanskrit. On returning, he was received like a national hero. He even translated over 1,300 volumes of Buddhist scriptures. And then there is Borobudur in Indonesia, a vast temple inspired by Indian Buddhist cosmology. How did this influence travel thousands of kilometers without conquest? It's the power of ideas and trade. Imagine this. Sanskrit was once spoken and written from India to Vietnam to Cambodia. It was the diplomatic and scholarly language of choice, much like English is today. Dalrymple tells us about how Sanskrit inscriptions have been found as far as Thailand and even in pre-Islamic Arabia. Indian epics like the Ramayana and Mahabharata weren't just Indian, they were adapted and retold in different cultures. The Thai version of the Ramayana, called Ramakya, still influences Thai art and dance. And why was Sanskrit so popular? Because it wasn't just religious, it was scientific. Astronomers and mathematicians used it to record their theories. It gave us Aryabhata, Brahmagupta, and Bhaskara. India's intellectual contributions weren't just spiritual. Dalrymple delves deep into science and logic. Let's talk about zero. Indian mathematicians invented it, not just as a placeholder, but as a concept. This gave rise to algebra, calculus, and binary code. The Arabic numerals we use today, Indian in origin, transmitted via Arab scholars. Ayurveda and Indian medicine too traveled. Texts like Sushruta Samhita were translated into Arabic and Persian. Indian surgical techniques were studied in Baghdad's House of Wisdom. Even metaphysical concepts like karma and moksha influenced Greek philosophers via their contact with Indian sages, especially through trade routes and Indo-Greek interactions in Gandhara. Dalrymple shares how India up to the 17th century was producing over 25% of the world's GDP. This was a manufacturing giant: silk, cotton, muslin, spices, perfumes. The story of Roman senators going bankrupt buying Indian luxuries is not apocryphal. Pliny the Elder actually complained in Rome about how much gold was being drained to India in exchange for perfumes and fine cloth. Indian ports like Mussoorie, modern-day Kerala, were bustling international trade centers. Coins from Rome, Arabia, and Southeast Asia have been found there. This was a truly global economy. You have heard of Angkor Wat, right? That architectural marvel in Cambodia, built in Hindu style. Dalrymple highlights how Indian temple architecture, sculpture, and iconography traveled. Chola bronze sculptures, Hindu temple layouts, and even raga systems made their way into Southeast Asian aesthetics. Even martial arts like Kalaripayattu influenced Chinese kung fu via monks who traveled to Shaolin temples. And speaking of Cambodia, did you know that the ongoing border tensions between Cambodia and Thailand, even in modern times, are connected to the shared heritage of Hindu temples in the region? Pravya Temple, a 1,000-year-old Hindu shrine dedicated to Lord Shiva, has been a flashpoint. Both nations claim ownership, and the UNESCO World Heritage status has only intensified the cultural nationalism. Why? Because these temples are more than ruins. They are symbols of historical prestige, a reminder of when Indian cultural influence built temples not just in India but all across Southeast Asia. The fact that these temples are still politically significant today speaks volumes about the enduring imprint of India's soft power centuries ago. Why should you care about ancient history? Because identity matters. Perspective matters. Dalrymple reminds us that India was never a periphery. It was the center. Knowing this shifts the narrative. We don't look at India as a nation that emerged from the colonial trauma. We look at it as a civilization that shaped the world and is rising again. As India takes its place in the 21st century global order, it's not just about GDP or unicorns. It's about remembering our place in the world and what we have contributed to it. So, if the Golden Road teaches us one thing, it's this: India transformed the world, not by conquest, but by culture, ideas, and trade. Let's not just celebrate that history, let's live up to it. This is me, your buddy Raj, signing off from Candid Cafe with Raj. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with your friends and family, and subscribe for more explorations into books, ideas, and the soul of India. Until next time, stay curious, stay proud.